Hey guys, welcome back to Pixelology 101. We're continuing. This is part 2 of our discussion on Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. It's Professor Devin talking to you right now. To my right is Professor Rock.
Hello.
And to my far right, I guess, would be Professor Nate.
Hey everybody.
Alright, so for this talk, we're going to focus on the main question for this game. If one of us could have made Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, in our image with Kojima, because we have to work with him, of course, it's his game, how would we have made it?
So Kojima and I would both be running around with Solid Snake, killing people and sneaking around in cardboard boxes.
It would literally be every one of my dreams ever. But first, let's get back to something we skipped in the last section of our video. One final person's opinions on this game. Professor Rod. Professor Nate and I got so excited about bad math in this game in certain aspects that we didn't get to ask you, what do you think of this game?
Well, I think it's a really good game. I think it's a really good Metal Gear game because games evolve, and I like the approach this game has taken, an open world stealth where I get to do whatever I want. I like that a lot. It kind of builds off from the actual evolution of the game. You know, from the beginning you had nothing, and now the more games that kept releasing, you get getting more and more stuff to do, and now you have a whole armory at your disposal you can choose, buddies to take out with you on these missions, a whole in-game economy that is reliant on your actions, and the fact that your actions directly impact the way these missions play out, which I thought was really cool. Even if you steal resources, the soldiers will notice that and report that in, which really was a neat little thing that annoyed me.
If you go out at night a lot, all of a sudden everyone has night vision goggles, or if you shoot a lot of heads, all of a sudden everyone's got a helmet on.
Exactly, that was another thing about the game. Sorry, but I know you were about to say something, Devin, but the game also adapted to your play style, the way you played it. If you took a lot of outposts down forcefully, which is beating people down and then capturing it that way, they would start getting body armor, riot suits. If you shot them in the head with tranq darts a lot, they'd start getting helmets. If you took them down from long range with sniper rifles, they'd start getting decoys to mess with you. There was a lot of neat little things like that. The game itself evolves to your playstyle, which Kojima actually references a bit in the introduction, the prologue of how Snake, starts crawling, crouching, then standing, the evolution of man. Kind of thematic in this game.
Yeah.
While there's also like a de-evolution of Big Boss himself.
Yeah. The evolution of human, the de-evolution of humanity.
Exactly.
Like, it's him, it's the game evolving, the characters evolving, but at the same time, what Big Boss stood for, what the boss stood for, what that entire first part of the series stood for slowly slips away as he becomes the villain he was in Metal Gear. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot I love about this game. I know in that first part I was very critical of this game, but I still think it's an amazing game. Like I said, I still think it's one of the best games I've played in the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
In the fact that, for the first time in a long time, I was just enjoying myself with a game. There are a lot of games that I've had to enjoy, but with caveats, or with, but statement on the end. Like, oh yeah, I enjoyed Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, but I don't really think it was a very, good game. Oh, I enjoyed, I enjoyed The Last of Us. I thought The Last of Us was amazing. But
It was really dang depressing.
Not only...
I couldn't beat that game. I could not play through that game, I'm sorry. I got through the prologue. The best thing about the game was the introductory scene, and the rest of it was pretty generic to me. Sorry.
Yeah, that's it. I think a lot of people give it credit for being this amazing advanced game when it really feels like a third-person shooter.
It was overhyped. Way overhyped.
Whereas Metal Gear Solid 5, I can't think of a stealth game that I've played that felt this refined and this polished in its gameplay and so on. And I can't think of a stealth game that I've played in a long time that added this many cool features. The little touches of this game. The being able to lean off the side of your horse to hide. I can't tell you how many times I've been climbing through the cliffs of Afghanistan, and I've seen a base down below me, and I'll slide to the side of my horse just to make sure no one catches me. Those little touches, those little things that are so inherently Metal Gear, have evolved over time, and I think this game is a very good example of evolution. I love it.
Yeah. I'm just a bit ashamed of the fact that the story I was a bit saddened by the lack of story content overall compared to like Metal Gear Solid 3 or 4. There was very little story compared to any other Metal Gear titles, including Peace Walker. Peace Walker actually had more content overall. It introduced all these new characters, these new themes with the AI.
Yeah, Paz, Chico, Dr. Strangelove, Huey, Emmerich.
Dr. Hot Coldman. Who can
Hot
forget
Coldman?
that classic
Hot
guy?
Coleman, that's a great name. I
Hot
love
Coleman.
that name.
But it's one of those things, like, I've played a lot of good games over the last couple of years. I've had fun with tons of them, but very few of them leave an impact on me, like just this moment. Sneaking up on 2 guards in the middle of Afghanistan, like, this looks... In my head, I can see it and I can feel it, and I know how I do it. And it's entirely different than the way Professor Nate just did it. But at the same time, like, it just feels so unique. Nice.
Well, that's why you don't hold him up. That's why you're supposed to just choke him out. The other guy will not hear that. Oh, well.
But I think it... Yeah, I love this game, and at the same time, like, I hate large chunks of it, because I feel like... What? But that's not important. We're off that. We can talk about The Last of Us some other day, because I can go...
Wait, you were talking about The Last of Us? No, I'm just kidding.
But no, I guess the question, or the question I would give you guys for this second half, the question we mentioned right at the beginning, what would you change if you could make Metal Gear Solid 5? Like, the Phantom Pain, how would you make it?
Well, I would say that I would have made him open world levels, kind of similar to Metal Gear Solid 4 in terms of, I would say a combination of MGS4 and Phantom Pain's levels design, where you kind of have smaller boxed-in areas that are a bit open, like these camp environments. These camp environments are pretty open compared to the rest of the map. The rest of the map is just corridors to camps. That's all it is. Corridors to get to camps that are littered with animals and plants that can help you with these camps overall. I would make it so it's more focused in specific areas. I would focus on the story instead of repetitive gameplay. I don't want to... This game gets repetitive quite quickly. I've beaten the main story, and when I was doing all the side-op missions, my only 3 variation of side-op missions were 1, rescue or eliminate this soldier or unit. 2, do the same thing to a mechanized version of that unit. 3, do the same thing to a prisoner. Rescue or get a prisoner out of this environment. That's the only 3 side-ops I was stuck with, and there was 150 side-ops. It's the main core of those side missions. They get incredibly repetitive. Well, everyone loves MGS4, and that's a very linear corridor game. But it was more about just replaying almost the entire story and getting better and better at these set moments. I do like the randomness this game employs by your actions. These soldiers are incredibly random in their actions. Sometimes they'll go and investigate, sometimes they'll call their unit, sometimes they'll just take a look at it and then just move on. They're too far or something like that. I would say there has to be an in-between between those two. Kojima went too much story on MGS4, but it was more or less needed to wrap up the whole story arc, because it was supposed to be the last MGS game in the timeline.
You gotta extract him.
But in Phantom Pain, it's all centered around the gameplay of the stealthing itself, of where I just go here, do my stealthing to accomplish this. And the problem is, when you're accomplishing this, it does nothing in the end. It just makes it so I have to go and do another stealthing there and do that. It just keeps being a bit repetitive in this one, because there's no stakes. There really is no stakes in this. That's a big problem. When you have a story that goes nowhere because you know the ending, you already know the ending, you already know what happened, there's no stakes at all. It just ruins immersion. Because now I'm just Big Boss while he's just in his down years.
Yeah.
It's like watching a celebrity's down years. It's like no one cares. They're doing nothing in their life. We know how it's all going to end. This isn't their golden years. This is just them when they were working at the convenience store down the street. It literally has no impact on what's going to happen, because we know what the end. He became a famous actor or something. Why do we need to see this? We don't need to know this.
What is that famous... I think it's in relation to a story, but it's the same concept. Is this the most interesting moment in your character's life? And if not, why aren't we seeing that instead?
I can actually relate this to the Star Wars prequels. The Darth Vader arc. We did not really need that. we didn't really need to see the downfall of Big Boss. I don't know if this was a story we really needed to know.
I was thinking the exact same thing, because when I was like, Star Wars, Darth Vader is this really cool, badass villain character. I didn't need to see him as a whiny little kid. And, like, it would have been cool to see him turn into Darth Vader if they would have done it better. Same thing with Metal Gear Solid. It would have been cool to see, like, Big Boss and how he became Big Boss in the original Metal Gear from where he was in Peace Walker in 3.
And you know what's funny? Kind of, it's supposed to be all revenge because of what happened with Mother Base, 9 years ago in Ground Zeroes. But the events of what Cypher has done to you so far is nothing. The major event is when parasites invade your base. But guess what? That was your own damn fault. You went and got him and brought him to your people. That was your own fault. And now you're going to blame it on Cypher because of what you did? That makes no sense. You did that. You didn't oh, wait, no, they did say they decontaminated it, or all their equipment or something, but you still went over there to a very highly contagious area full of deadly parasites that somehow got on the base and the only person there was you? You're kind of at fault to blame for that.
And you, Professor Nate, what would you have designed?
I kind of agree with Rod a little bit. It has to be... I don't mind open world so much, but I think open world takes away so much from the story, because being open world, being able to go out and do whatever you want, it takes, let's say a mission, comes up and it's like, oh, you have to do this immediately, otherwise this will happen. Then you can just go out and screw around in the open world for an hour, and it really doesn't make the mission seem like it's that important, or you have to do it in a timely manner, and that's a problem with open world games. That was never a problem before in Metal Gear Solid, because they've always been they've been somewhat open. Like in Shadow Moses in the first one, you could kind of go around most of Shadow Moses.
And Metal Gear Solid 4 too. You can move around a decent amount.
Exactly. It doesn't need to be open world, but I don't mind that it's open world. But that's one of the things, because like I said, I didn't like the story in this game very well, and not having missions take precedence over me just going around and screwing around really takes away from that as well. But I would do that, and then I would add more story to this game as well. Because I would have tied this more into the original Metal Gear, because not a lot of people I feel have played the original Metal Gear. I think a lot of people started with Metal Gear Solid, so they lost the first two games, especially since the second one wasn't really released in America until it came out on the special edition of Snake Eater. So a lot of people never played those games, and to have this game tie in to that game, I think it would have been way better, because I think it would have had people wanted to play the original Metal Gear more, but as it stands right now, this doesn't feel like it ties in any better than Peace Walker tied into the original. This didn't have to be here. This just seems like we're just kind of sitting here treading water, and I feel like they could make 100 of these games where it's just oh, this happened right before Metal Gear. This also happened before Metal Gear. Oh, so did this, and you could just sit here forever and do that, and you never really go anywhere.
Metal Gear Solid 3 kind of started a nice little thing where it went back in time, so you got to see Big Boss's story, and that was a great story. It told what we needed to know. That was essentially what the prequels should have done. That is what we know, how Big Boss, why he is like he is today. That whole narrative arc of MGS3 told it beautifully well. This game is pretty unnecessary.
Plus, Metal Gear Solid 3 also introduced people like Zero and other characters that would later become important in Metal Gear Solid. Because without Zero, there wouldn't be the Patriots. Without the Patriots, there wouldn't be Metal Gear Solid.
The Patriots, they wouldn't have been as big as they were, but they existed as far back as 1922.
Yeah, they existed a long time ago.
Philosophers before.
Wasn't it? It was called the Philosophers right at the end of World War I, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Philosopher's Legacy. That was what they were.
But if we didn't have Zero, we wouldn't have had all that control and all the soldiers that had all the nanomachines in them, and be okay, you can only use this gun because you're ID'd for this gun, and we have to keep track of absolutely everything. You can't be off the grid at all, and this guy's totally gonna not spot me, I guess.
Even with night vision goggles,
maybe I was in the light, and he was
because he's looking at the ground 2 feet in front of him. He's like, "Oh, I don't see anybody here. There's nobody here. I swear I saw someone."
But this game didn't add any, maybe it's because this game takes place there's like not as much time between Peace Walker and the original Metal Gear anymore because now you have this game showing what happens. So maybe they couldn't develop more characters because they were like, well, if we introduce this character, we're not gonna be able to tie them in.
We have to kill them off.
Yeah, we're gonna have to kill them off because they're not part of the other games.
The thing I'd say, or the big thing I'd say that kind of points out there is, I feel like when Kojima designed the story for Metal Gear, Big Boss was in a coma for 9 years. I don't think he realized, or he ever thought he would do a game that covered the events after his coma. Because he never intended to. Metal Gear 2 was the final game that he had originally planned. It was Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 2. That's how he originally wanted the series to end, and then he did 3, and then he did 4, and then now he's come all the way to here. So I feel like when you're talking about there's not that much time between like Peace Walker and the original Metal Gear, I don't think he ever intended there to be time there, because he never meant to fill that in. It was just meant to be a mystery. It wasn't. You're right. It was the prequel trilogy. He never meant to show you the prequel trilogy, but people kept asking for it and asking for it.
People asked
for it?
Or did Konami ask for it?
True.
Yeah, I was good. Once Metal Gear Solid 4 was done, I was like, you had 4 really great, amazing games, and you told a complete story. I understand everything that happens. I know all about all the characters' motivations. I know how we got where we are, and I was satisfied. I don't need to see this to make Metal Gear Solid 4 all of a sudden be like, oh, in Metal Gear Solid 4, now I know, because Big Boss did this in this game. No. There's nothing in this game that ties to Metal Gear Solid 4 where I'm like...
So this is where I would come in.
Yeah, so I was about to ask you, Devin. Now we've heard both of ours, Nate's and ours ideas, ideal MGS5. Now, what about you?
What Professor Nate says perfectly segues into mine. There are 2 versions of Metal Gear Solid 5 that I would have designed in my head. There's one that would have covered the actual time period that we see in Metal Gear Solid 5, the 80s. But it would have been more focused on Cypher and Big Boss's
rivalry?
Shadow War.
Oh, yeah.
Because those 2 groups are fighting supposedly this whole time. Now, you don't really see it. They don't really talk about it. It's not that big of a deal in this game.
You hardly
but
ever
that
see
should have been
Cypher.
the whole point of this game. Because if you think about it, the people left alive at the time of Metal Gear Solid, the first Metal Gear Solid game, the people left alive who know... yeah, you're right.
I'm in trouble.
The people left alive who know about Big Boss and Cypher's rivalry at that point, there aren't that many. There's Eva, Ocelot, Miller, but he dies right at the beginning of
MGS1.
Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. Boss and Cypher, of course, themselves. But you don't see Paz. You've never seen Chico.
Chico's
obviously.
already dead.
Yeah, he's been dead for years by
He
that
died
time.
at that crash. Everybody, he's
which-
not quiet.
This game
died
doesn't tell
in the
you
helicopter
that Chico dies. You have to go and listen to a cassette tape, and in the cassette tape it tells you what happens to him on the helicopter.
Yeah.
They don't say it in dialogue at all. So if you don't listen to cassette tapes, you might assume that Chico's alive, but he's not.
Yeah, and it is implied that Paz doesn't make it much longer. There's just a lot of characters, like, nobody knew what happened in this time period. In the world itself. Solid Snake doesn't know. Liquid Snake knows literally the barest minimum. Eli, but he's a kid. He doesn't understand, like, even if he does understand, like, there's so much stuff that happened before him that he doesn't know, between Cypher and Big Boss. Quiet doesn't exist. She's not in any of the first 4 games, so you know she's not around anymore. Paramedic, Sigint, like all those people are eliminated very quickly.
Donald Anderson.
So the people who really know about this time period are limited by the time Metal Gear Solid 2 rolls around. It's pretty much Eva, Big Boss, Ocelot, and Cypher himself.
Zero. Cypher is his organization that becomes
Zero,
the Patriots.
sorry.
Yeah.
And that, I think that this game should have been more directly oriented around that Secret War. And I think it was originally intended that way. I think there was a lot more to this game that interacted between those 2 groups. But I think a lot of it got changed in game development. So, if I was going to design this game, I would have either designed it to focus on that war and explain the events...
I think I just woke up that. Sorry.
No, you're good.
He can
That's
feel
what
me
Metal Gear's-
scanning him.
That's what Metal Gear's full of, like those moments. But I would have focused it more on that war and how that war escalated and how that war set up a lot of the stuff for the Sons of the Patriot system. Because I think that spoiler alert again, I think the parasite that's in this game, it's a prequel to the Sons of the Patriot system. It's what we were talking about a couple minutes ago.
The fact that certain people can't say Patriot because the Patriots don't know you're there. They can only say La Le Lu Le Lo.
Yeah, it's very much like I think that's where they were trying to go with
There's
it.
It's also somewhat like Fox Die because they program it to kill people based on language, and Fox Die is kill people based on genes.
Yeah,
and they talk about how the parasites were genetically modified to become like this. So obviously this was a precursor to Fox Die.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that focusing more on that, the creation of Fox Die would have been really cool to see in here, like that development and that
stuff
design.
like that, or like
that would have been really neat.
Like when like Gray Fox meets like Naomi or something like that. Why aren't those moments in? Because that's what I was expecting when I before I played this game. That's what I was expecting to see. Were moments like that you've only like heard about in Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Solid 2. Like those little moments, I want to be able to like see those in the cutscene. But there's no cutscenes. There's no new characters, and there's not a whole lot of characters that get that this game can tie back to. Like you said, the series is already over. You can't just introduce a new character because they can't be in Metal Gear Solid 4 because Metal Gear Solid 4 is already done. That story has been
all
told.
the MGS games.
Exactly.
All of them except 3.
The other, going back a second, the other thing I would have liked to see, and it's a game that I've always imagined in my head.
So this is the second version.
Yeah, this is the other version that I would have designed if I was making Metal Gear Solid 5. I know some people... I think the 60s is a fine starting point for the series, but what I would have really loved to see as a game would have been a game set in the 1940s. In Berlin or in World War II, where you played as the boss. Like,
and
if
the
you
Cobra
got to
unit.
play as her
That would have been
and
amazing.
seen the formation of the Cobra unit
and seeing
the formation,
Birth of
you've seen
Ocelot and all
Young
that
Jack.
stuff.
Yeah, you could have seen all of these major time periods. And that's such an important piece of history for Metal Gear Solid, even though it's never really mentioned.
Yeah.
Like the 1940s, 1950s.
That kind of started the ball rolling.
Yeah,
that whole
it's
unit
very,
really.
very big.
With the
I would have
Patriot
loved to see that. Could
philosophers.
you imagine an open world game where you're sneaking through the ruins of Berlin? Like the sniper battle, because the Cobra unit was formed when the boss fought each one of those soldiers and recruited them to her side.
Yeah.
Could you imagine sneaking through Berlin and having a sniper battle with the end in his prime? Like this young, super cocky, like confident sniper.
Young. Remember, in the 60s, he was an old man. He was not young in the 40s.
He was younger. He was what, like 103? So he was 80, whatever.
He was 83, so
For him,
in a prime.
for
It's
him,
Spry 83.
well, he's solar. He's got the solar moss on him.
He is a lot like Quiet because he does.
Yeah, no.
It's so weird how
You
they
know
tie
what I
this
think?
together.
If I were to be so bold, and I can't back this up. This is pure
She's the
speculation.
grandson?
No, this is pure speculation.
Her granddaughter.
I was going to say Freudian slip there.
That Chico
was
quiet.
quiet theory. Yeah. Pure speculation. The moss that covers the end, the moss that is like that he uses to gain energy from. I think that was probably, in my opinion, where they got the parasite from. Because the moss is implied to be a symbiotic thing that lives on his body.
I'm gonna have to say no. They explain that in a cassette tape.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
It comes from Kotaker. When he asked about Kotaker, I never seen you eat. How come you don't eat? Well, the parasites living off my body, they can sustain me. And it's like, oh, I know someone who was just like that. It's photosynthesis, correct? I knew someone back in the 60s.
Yeah,
or
that's what I'm
whatever.
saying. Like, yeah, I guess. Never mind. A similar strain or a similar variant of that moss or that thing, I could see that
I could
being
see
an
that
origin
idea.
for the-
I think the idea got that ball rolling
Yeah.
with that reference.
I think that was an idea or an originator for that. But yeah, I think a World War II Metal Gear Solid game would have been really cool. You could have done a lot with that alternate time period. You could have gotten the ball rolling. I would have liked to see it. Going back to this game though, or jumping back to the game we got, if I had designed 5 around the big boss time period, the 80s, the other thing I would have, I guess, shown more of would have been
Analysis complete.
just the
Storm.
counterpart or the rest of the world, how they reacted to Mother Base. Because they kind of hinted it in Ground Zeroes that the rest of the world is starting to take notice of Mother Base, take notice of Diamond Dogs.
Because of the rumors
Militaris
that they
on
had a
Frontier.
nuke.
Yeah, and that would have been interesting, because that's mirrored a lot. Kojima has always been very good at picking real-world politics and predicting a couple years out. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 4 was in 2008, and that whole game, you know, the first mission is all very much like private military corporations, private military contractors. Mm-hmm. And over the next, 6 years in Afghanistan, we saw PMCs become such a huge thing. They were already big at that point, but they became so huge. And it's one of those things that here, sitting in the year 2015, the world that he describes in 2008 Metal Gear Solid, besides the giant walking robots and a couple of other noticeable pieces, it doesn't seem that crazy.
Political-wise.
Yeah, politically, it doesn't seem like that crazy of a world. Yeah, buddy.
Right in front of him, his buddy just got smashed.
That is quite a sandstorm.
He was looking straight at him.
That is quite a sandstorm.
There is one thing I wanted to mention in this game. It has the theme. There's the overall theme of revenge. It's pretty obvious. With the Moby Dick Studios was the one that introduced the game. Pequod. He had Ahab, the one who helped you escape from the hospital.
No, Ishmael.
Ishmael, yep.
And you're called Ahab.
Yeah, you're called Ahab. And the fact that it's supposed to be straight revenge. This is all revenge. And it is interesting how mainly all the characters have a revenge theme in mind. Well, except Ocelot. I can't see why he needs
revenge. Ocelot always has his own motive in every Metal Gear Solid game. I'm actually that's the one character I can't wait to see in the second ending, like what his real story is, because I know he's up to his own tricks.
Well, the secret ending is a bit of a mindfuck on its own. But also, I will have to say, it does give you like 10 cassette tapes that really expand some of the backstory in this period.
Speaking of which, jumping off of, I guess, the little topic for a bit, but you and I both grabbed, Professor Rod, you and I both grabbed the Collector's Edition.
Yeah.
And in the Collector's Edition is actually a bonus Blu-ray that contains what's called Mission 51.
I did not watch it yet. I did not
I have not watched it either, but according to what I have read about it, or according to the little piece I've heard, apparently there is a huge, maybe not a huge, but a lot of content that adds story to this game. And supposedly some of it, again, I've only read a couple of rumors about it. I haven't watched it yet. But supposedly some of it connects to the intro of Metal Gear. I'm not sure if that's true, but it kills me. Because, again, going back to what I said in the first part about cut content, like, if there's a whole extra mission that was planned and had to get cut down to, like, an extra scenes on a Blu-ray, I feel like there was more to this story that they wanted to do. I feel like there was probably more to the story between Cypher and Outer Heaven. And it doesn't show up. And that hurts, like...
It doesn't show up.
That would have been my dream Metal Gear game.
It doesn't show up because this is just mainly focusing on Big Boss himself and why he becomes a demon, literally a demon with the horn in his head.
I liked, by the way, you said earlier, like the celebrity downtime. It is, like, Cypher...
He's doing nothing. He's just doing around his
geopolitical world. They did nothing for 9 years while you were in a coma.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't know where you were in the coma.
Touche, but they're still...
It's not like their main goal was to kill you. They didn't really kill you. Zero and Big Boss, they parted not on good terms, but he respects Big Boss. He does.
He eventually wants to kill him. Doesn't he, like, mention that near the end of Metal Gear Solid 4 when you meet him in the graveyard by the boss's grave?
I can't remember that cutscene. It's been a while since I beat Metal Gear
All
Solid.
I remember is that Zero was just a bald, fat guy in this wheelchair, and he just looked so sad. The man who
created he did. Zero, like, idolizes Big Boss.
Yeah, and he does.
He idolized I would say going back even further, he idolized the boss.
He idolized the boss, definitely.
What those soldiers represented.
Exactly.
That was the creation of Foxhound.
The reality, though, was much more messy. And Zero never accepted how Big Boss viewed it. He liked the idea, the ideologies of Big Boss, but he did not like the reality of Big Boss.
So that was the split. That's why they split up, because they both took the boss's teachings in radically two different directions.
Yep.
One wants to unite the world, and one unite it all under one global entity. The other wanted to have it was a separate entity. The army is its own borders. There's no ideologies, no borders, no race, religions, nothing. Just an army, just out there. Which is a bit of a strange ideology. Big Boss is a bit... It's strange, but kind of understandable.
It's strange, but it makes sense in a Kojima game.
Yeah, it makes sense in a Kojima game if you played 3. You have to play 3 to understand the boss's worldview.
Well,
the big boss.
I guess it makes sense too in a political sense in this universe.
Yep, there you go.
Nice. Because what you really see in Metal Gear Solid as a series.
Oh, dang, how did
you shot him in the arm? He'll go to sleep very soon.
Oh wait, I thought you shot him in the gun. I thought it bounced off the barrel of his gun. I was like, that's an impressive shot in the worst way. Like, it was very
Goes
good.
down the tube of the gun. You can make it.
You'll make it. You'll make it.
Rocket.
That $6 million man.
See, this game does have some badass cool moments like
It's
that.
got so many cool moments. Like, just, that's what the whole game
It's because it's the gameplay over story.
It is.
Well, it's got so many cool moments because it's a Kojima game. That first... The part in Cyprus, that prologue opening scene.
Dude, it was. I had to, after I played that, I had to pause and walk away because it was just so intense.
There was so much info, there was so much stuff, and it felt so intense, like you said. I seriously, I was walking around my house, CQCing like lamps and other inanimate objects. I was like, like, I was so excited.
Yeah,
by
you
that
couldn't
scene.
get me any more pumped for a game. Like, there couldn't have been a better opening
Yeah,
to get me any more excited.
It was such a Kojima opening, and then you get into the game and you're like,
The hype carries with you, so you think you're enjoying the story, but because it's so focused on revenge, the story also kind of takes a back seat because it's all about revenge. You don't really feel that motivated because you just woke up from a coma, and all of a sudden you're told, "All right, you got to go on revenge mode now." Miller says he's missing 2 limbs. Because of that, he's super angry at Cypher. You should be too because of that. You lost an arm and you have a piece of helicopter blade in your head.
Yep.
Now go after him, go kill him. It's like, really?
not as bad as this.
Yeah,
Russian dudes.
I felt like the
Psycho Menace left a lot more than a piece of helicopter blade in their heads.
Yeah, I felt like the plot was really simple. It was basically, okay, you had your mother base from Peace Walker, Cypher destroyed it, now kill Cypher. That was it.
That was the main motivation.
Yeah,
it kind of hints at a war between the two.
It was so simple, and it's like usually Metal Gear Solid has such this huge, even almost convoluted plot with all these different. But this game, it was just like, get Cypher, get revenge on them.
And that was what it was. I felt like there should have been more of that secret war. It should have felt like a Cold War. Because get this, it was set during the Cold War. It should have felt like a Cold War, an escalation between these two sides. Because we know, like you said, we know that Big Boss will not kill Cypher by the end of this game.
Exactly.
He cannot.
He won't
cannot
get his
destroy.
revenge.
He cannot destroy
He
Cypher.
will
He
not
cannot
get
kill
it.
Zero. He cannot do that. But if you'd made it feel like an escalating stakes, so then there could have been this secret war that was going
stay up there.
on.
Go up there. You can drag him off.
Oh, that's right. You can grab guys
There
from
could
the
have been this
ladder.
secret war that was going on for years. It would have been really cool if this game had implied that during the events of Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 4... Like, it would have been really cool if this game implied that during the events of Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 at least, that Cypher and Big Boss were still fighting in the background. And that's what it created. Or that the remnants of Outer Heaven...
They couldn't be fighting in
Yeah, because Big Boss was dead.
Big Boss was dead.
Quote unquote.
He's in whatever he's in. He's in the tube or
But
whatever.
they could have implied, like, there could have been the implication that during the events of Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, that these two were still secretly fighting in the background and were escalating the stakes even higher. And then when you replayed Metal Gear Solid 4, their meeting again would be really big because not only would it be the climax of Solid Snake's story, it would have been the climax of Zero and Big Boss's story. It was, but it wasn't really a climax. It was just Big Boss.
It was a very poignant climax in the end where it shows the futility of it all.
Yeah, it would have been the only way you could have made Metal Gear Solid 5 really matter is by retroactively adding weight to that conflict. Because the first time you see them in Metal Gear Solid 4, it's so sad because you're seeing that ending. But if you'd known the background, the way, like, if this game had talked more about their differences in ideology, if this game had focused on how they took Boss's beliefs different ways, because then they both would have ended up at Boss's grave. Exactly. It would have been like, it all came back to the Boss.
Exactly. You know what? The story of Metal Gear Solid 5, the main story should have been Big Boss and Major Zero's actively shadow warring each other.
Yeah.
There should have been like conflicts here and there set in Afghanistan and Africa, like
you could have set it in
legitimate
other places too. You could have
direct
made
content. Yeah.
you could have made slightly smaller open worlds, made them a little bit more enclosed, compressed them a little more, and instead of having however many bases that Afghanistan has, you could have had Afghanistan have like 5 major bases, and you could have had Africa have like 5 bases, and then you could have added in, like Russia or South America,
Yeah, you don't
or other
need
places.
this huge
and you could have
amount,
had them have this globe-trotting fight going on, and you could have had these small chunks of story in each one of these places that would have culminated in Africa, leading into the events in Metal Gear.
Yeah, like
that would have been amazing.
I think the perfect way to have escalated the whole conflict would have been, this game is when you contracted Foxdie and you know it. If you somehow, like when you were out there, you knew about Cypher's developing this virus, and you were about there to stop it, and you contracted it, and you knew it was going to happen.
Chapter 1 could have been the development of the virus that we see in this game, and then Chapter 2 could have been them evolving that virus into Foxdie.
Exactly.
And then that would have led into Metal Gear.
Exactly.
Boom. It would have been amazing. Like, you...
It
I
feels
can't
so
believe that
short.
we just
The
did that.
story,
That feels
Yeah,
so
it
real.
falls flat.
The story feels short, but it also feels convoluted because, like I said, it's like 31 missions, but more than half those missions you don't get like anywhere more in the story. There's no cutscene. There's no real story dialogue. It's like, oh hey, yeah, we have these 2 prisoners. Yeah, now Mother Base can do this now. Okay,
You know.
how does that help the story at all?
It was coincidence. In this story, the sad thing is, coincidence pushes the story forward. That's it. Like, mainly you're just doing missions, and all of a sudden, oh, this guy knows intelligence about Cypher. We should go investigate that. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, we lost our lead, so let's just keep doing more side missions. Oh, one just popped up. Okay, now let's go do it. It literally, the game itself is literally giving you filler material before the story.
We're
so
gonna
much
have to
We have to
wrap this one up.
Yeah.
But
we should make
any
another
quick
video
final-
once all 3 of us have beaten and seen the
Yeah,
secret
we-
ending, just
we
to say
definitely
our
We will.
thoughts.
We will
definitely
have
will.
a comeback to this discussion.
So you people who watch, you can look forward to that. But yeah, any quick last thoughts? Anything else you guys want to say about this, or do you feel you've said what you need to? Gotten it off your chest.
I have one thing to say. This is the first Metal Gear Solid game I've ever played where it's actually felt like a chore to get through. Like, at one point, I wanted to quit, and I didn't even want to beat this game. Every other Metal Gear Solid game, I absolutely loved, and I couldn't wait to get to the next cutscene, or see the next character, or get to the ending and see what happens. This one has very much been, like, I'm playing it because I'm a Metal Gear Solid fan, and that's basically the only reason.
Professor Rod?
Well, my last thoughts will have to be this, that I am a bit disappointed in the gameplay. I do love the game a lot, but like as Nate has mentioned, it becomes a chore. I have completed the entire story. I've seen the secret ending here. I am just focusing now on acing this game, and geez, do I just feel very unmotivated because they introduce these mission objectives that are just completely arbitrary, that contribute to
And you're replaying old missions that you've played before, which sucks because all the missions feel the same anyway.
Exactly. So I'm a bit disappointed. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I guess I'd have to say at the end of the day, like, yeah, I love this game. I think it's an amazing game. I just don't know that it's a great Metal Gear game. It's good. It's fun. I don't know if it's what I wanted from Metal Gear Solid 5.
It's a fun
And
game.
I'll admit, I'm one of those idiots too. Like, I definitely wanted Metal Gear Solid 5. I thought it would be such a cool world, and I thought you could do so much with that open world. But now that I've got it, it's definitely a case of the dream was better than the reality.
Definitely.
Yeah, we will have that final piece hopefully up for you next week, and just go over that last bit of story. But until then, guys, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe. Have a good time.
We'll see you guys next time on part 3 of our Metal Gear discussion.